Love him or hate him, Kevin Durant is an amazing player and will go down in history as an all-time great. As a freshman at UT Austin, Durant averaged nearly 26 points a game. He shot the ball very well, was named the Big 12 Player of the Year, the McDonald's All-American Game MVP, and the National College Player of the Year. He won a ton of awards. That's how amazing he was after just 1 year in college. But believe it or not, there was a legitimate debate on who would go number 1 in the 2007 draft. As great as Durant was, there was still some major concerns about his game. In college, his handles and court vision were subpar and he was more like a lanky, super tall shooting guard. And then there was this guy, Greg Oden. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today we're going to talk about Greg Oden's career. Why did he get drafted before Kevin Durant, and how did he become so injury prone so quickly? And was he even that good when he did play? In college, Oden did not win as many awards or put up crazy stats like Durant, but he was considered as the best center in the entire country. In his one season at Ohio State, he averaged about 16 points and 10 rebounds a game, and also over 3 blocks a game. Along with Mike Conley, they would lead Ohio State to the 2007 NCAA championship game, where they would eventually lose. In that game, Oden had a phenomenal performance, recording 25 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 blocks. He looked unstoppable against the Florida Gators, the #1 ranked team in the country. Oden's performance throughout the whole tournament boosted his draft stock even higher. And unlike Durant, Oden had an NBA-ready body. This dude was 7 foot, 260 pounds coming into the draft combine. He was a 19-year-old with a man's body and overpowered everybody in his way. And he was a legit skilled 7-foot big man, not somebody who just catches lobs all day. That's why many fans and analysts believe that he would go number 1. But not everybody did. Bill Simmons had Kevin Durant going number 1 in his 2007 mock draft. He cited things he saw in Oden's workout like his nervousness or awkwardness and wasn't sure if he had the mindset to dominate in the NBA. He believed that some guys like Durant were created to play basketball, while someone like Oden only plays because he was bigger than everybody else, and it seemed like the logical thing to do. He was also a nice, likable, personable guy who everyone loved. On the other hand, Kieran Darcy of ESPN stated that Oden is poised to be a franchise center, someone you could build a team around. Franchise centers usually win championships. His name's already being mentioned in the company of Russell, Robinson, Olajuwon, and Shaq. A lot of rings on those fingers. Others believe that Oden was the safe and logical pick at number 1. And well, that didn't turn out too well. To be honest, that draft, it was a toss-up the entire way. I'd say it was about half and half. 50% chance Oden would go first and 50% chance Durant would go first. It was a real debate, but it turns out Portland decided to do what they usually do and go for the big man. Then, 3 months later, Oden would get microfracture surgery on his right knee. Some people noticed that the way he walked was kinda funny and asked him why he has a limp. Oden came out and said that his right leg was shorter than the left because of hip surgery when he was in 6th grade. Then everybody was like, well, that sucks. So after microfracture surgery, Oden sat out his entire rookie season, or supposed rookie season. As he watched Kevin Durant win Rookie of the Year, he felt really bad about it, like he let the entire team down. According to general manager Kevin Pritchard, he said, "Greg looked at me as he was coming out of his surgery and he and his mom Zoe probably said sorry 20 times. I could feel the weight of the world on his shoulders. And as a leader and as leaders of this organization, my first thought was how lucky we were to have a guy that cares about the organization that much. We picked the right kid, he cares about his organization, and I can't overemphasize how bad he felt, and not because he had to go through the rehab and all that, but because he felt like he let us down, and he hasn't let us down at all." This whole thing was pretty surprising because, like others have said before, they thought Oden was a safe pick because he'd never had any major injuries before the NBA. It was a pretty shocking revelation to the Blazers organization and the fans. But even without Oden, the Blazers were not bad. With Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge getting better, they were looking to make the playoffs in the near future. The Blazers would finish the 2007-08 season with a 41-41 record, without Oden playing a single game. Then in the following season, Oden was finally healthy and played his first ever NBA game on October 28, 2008. He played 13 minutes, scored 0 points, and left the game with a foot injury. After spending a few weeks to recover, he came back again, and on November 18th, he came off the bench and had a great game. 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks, as he showed the same dominance that was seen back in college. Unfortunately, as the season progressed, he wasn't very consistent and constantly got into foul trouble. He was still pretty good overall as he finished his first season averaging 9 points and 7 rebounds in about 21 minutes a game. In the 61 games he played in, the Blazers had a record of 40-21, which was a good sign. There was no question that he made the team better just by his sheer presence in the paint on both ends of the court. The Blazers won 54 games but would lose in the first round to the Houston Rockets. Oden had a terrible series as he got destroyed by Yao Ming and Luis Scola. But then on December 5th, 2009, he injured his left knee and fractured his patella. That would force him to get another surgery and miss the rest of that season after playing only 21 games. A year later, in November of 2010, Oden had a setback in his recovery and had to get another microfracture surgery. Then, in the next 2 years, he would have more setbacks and more surgeries. By 2013, in 6 seasons with Portland, Oden played a total of just 82 regular season games. While Kevin Durant blossomed into a superstar and a top 5 player in the league, Oden had 6 surgeries in 6 years. However, the Blazers were doing quite well without him. They would have multiple seasons winning over 50 games, but they had a hard time getting past the first round. It didn't help that their franchise player, Brandon Roy, also dealt with injuries and never recovered either. The promising big three of Roy, Oden, and Aldridge only played a combined 62 games together. In those 62 games, they mounted an incredible record of 50-12. Had Oden and Roy stayed healthy, the Blazers could have been legit contenders for a long time. So, around 2013, when Oden was still sitting out with no light at the end of the tunnel, it very much looked like his career was over. Despite Oden always looking on the bright side, hoping for a better outcome, his body has failed him. Oden himself said, "I'll be remembered as the biggest bust in NBA history." But I don't think it's fair to label him as a true bust. He couldn't control the fact that one of his legs was longer than the other, and he couldn't control how fragile his knees were. And time again, rehab after rehab, he still suffered an endless number of setbacks. When he was healthy, he looked pretty good on the floor. In his sophomore year in Portland, before the injuries kicked in, he was averaging over 11 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks a game. Defensively, he was a very smart player even though he wasn't super quick. Anyway, after his rookie contract expired in 2013, Oden and the Blazers were now at a crossroads. The Blazers organization said, "Greg's still very young in relative terms for a professional basketball player. He's recovered from a couple of these before, his last 2 microfracture lesions have healed fine. So there's no reason to think that he couldn't come back as long as he shows the work ethic and desire that he's had in the past to come back. I think it's premature to speculate anything beyond that." While it looked like he went through his last rehab perfectly fine and he was now perfectly healthy, they could not ignore his history of injuries. So they let him go. In the summer of 2013, as a free agent, Oden had a couple of decent offers from other teams. One of them being the Miami Heat, a team that just won the championship but were in desperate need of a big man. And so he signed with them. Oden would make his first appearance in an NBA game since 2009, but as the year went by, he would get fewer and fewer minutes. Eventually, he would be completely out of the rotation. The harsh reality finally hit him, as he realized at this point his career was pretty much over. While he was watching from the bench, his contemporary Kevin Durant was named the 2014 MVP. Their career paths could not be any more different. This would be his last season in the NBA. At the age of 26, he was done. Looking back at his career, Oden still feels like he let everyone down and felt bad that the Blazers essentially wasted their number 1 pick on him. While that is kinda true, it wasn't for a lack of trying. During those years of injuries, Oden spent all of his time trying to get back onto the NBA court. He wasn't just some really tall guy who only played basketball because he was tall. He really did love the game, and that's why he continued to work and rehab even though his knees were decimated. Unfortunately, Oden will forever be labeled as the guy who got drafted before Kevin Durant and never lived up to his potential. And that's all, folks. That sums up the story of Greg Oden. Let me know your thoughts on the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.